Back on WSHS, we're talking about seasonal affective disorder now. Seasonal affective disorder is a type of depression that is related to changes in the seasons. Seasonal affective disorder starts in the fall and goes through the winter. It is most commonly in the winter.
Some symptoms are feeling depressed most of the time. You lose interest in activities you once enjoyed. You start to have issues with sleeping. You also experience changes in your appetite or weight by feeling sluggish or agitated. You start having difficulty concentrating, feeling hopeless, worthless, or guilty, having frequent thoughts of death or suicide. There is also weight gain, oversleeping, tiredness, and low energy.
SAD might begin in teen years or adulthood. If you live in a place with long winter nights, you have a high risk of developing SAD. It usually has a good treatment, but some people can live with it their entire lives. I have seen things where it say it can and it cannot be treated.
There is no test to find out if you have SAD. Your healthcare provider can make a diagnosis by looking at your symptoms. You could also use behavior therapy. If you experience anxiety, apathy, general discontent, loneliness, loss of interest, mood swings, or sadness, you might have it, or if you have excessive sleepiness or insomnia.
Some interesting facts are that there are more than 3 million cases per year. 60% and 90% of people with SAD are women. It usually is more common in women. Norman E. Rosenthal created the disease, and it runs in families.
That is SAD.
On to Matthew and Zaid with their story.
Thanks, Max. Hi, my name is Zaid Omar, and here I have Matthew Martin, a psychologist. Matthew, tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm a psychologist, and I specialize in narcissistic personality disorder.
What's narcissistic personality disorder?
Well, narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD, is a function in which people feel like they're superior compared to others.
Wow, are there any certain symptoms?
So, if you have NPD, you have an exaggerated sense of self-importance. Some have a sense of entitlement to be the center of attention. They also expect to be recognized as a superior without any achievements to back it up.
Is there any medication or cures for NPD?
Medication isn't the best treatment for NPD. The best thing to do is talk therapy.
Why do you think talk therapy works better?
I believe talk therapy works the best if you get the narcissistic ideas out of your head and relay them onto someone else. Then maybe you'll feel less entitled to have to go do it to someone else and make them feel put down.
Are there any effects on the brain?
So some recent brain scans show that matter in areas associated with empathy is less.
You seem to know a lot about NPD. Are there any certain ages affected?
The ages most affected are 19 to 40 years old. I think these are the ages most affected because 19, you're transitioning from childhood and teenage years into an adult life, and 40, you're trying to compete more.
Is there anything else I need to know about NPD?
Well, narcissism starts in childhood, probably because you get the ideas from people that you're around, parents, siblings, anyone. And the narcissists are known to be charming. And if you know someone with NPD, you should try not to take their behavior personally, because if you do, then you'll just feel put down all the time, like a shadow, or like you're living in their world.
Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Next up on sports, Curry blew a 3-1 lead, and KD's a snake.
Next up, Hayden Bissing and Kaylin Durbin.
Thanks, Matthew. So welcome back, everyone, to SHC News. Our first story is about bipolar disorder. There is a new interest in this disorder and the people suffering from this condition. Bipolar disorder is a mental health condition that causes extreme mood swings that include emotional highs and lows.
Manic describes times when someone feels overly excited and confident. Some symptoms of bipolar disorder is being overly happy, being energized, being very sad, or being hopelessness. 3. People having a manic episode may feel very up, high, or elated, have a lot of energy, have increased activity levels, feel jumpy or wired, have trouble sleeping, become more active than usual, talking really fast about a lot of different things, be agitated, irritable, or touchy, do risky things.
How can you manage and cope with bipolar disorder? First, you can make adjustments. You can make adjustments to your daily schedule and the way you live your life. You can also get involved with your treatment. You can do this by being patient, communicating with your treatment provider, taking instructed medication, and getting therapy. You can also monitor your systems and moods. You can monitor the way how you're getting, if you're getting better, if you're getting worse, or if everything's staying the same. You can also reach out for face-to-face connection. You should never isolate yourself, and you should always join other people who understand you. You can develop a good daily routine, keep stress to a minimum, and watch what you put in your body.
Now we're going to a commercial break, but first, Derek Russ is considering retirement. Stay tuned for the full story. Up next is Claire and Addie.
When I'm having a bad day and need to pick me up, it's Diet Dew for me. Hear that crisp, refreshing sound?
Man, this stuff is good.
Thanks, Kaylin. Welcome back. Today we're talking about obsessive compulsion disorder, better known as OCD.
OCD is a mental health disorder that affects people for all ages.
Susie from Montana said, "How does the disorder affect a person?"
Someone who has OCD has obsessions that they cannot control and can take over their life.
Many people say that they have OCD, but really they might just be a perfectionist.
OCD controls someone's life, and they can't stop it. Rob from Kansas asked, what are the symptoms of OCD?
Some symptoms are compulsive behavior, meaningless repetition of words, and something along those lines as well.
A person who has OCD, their mood is anxiety, guilt, and panic attacks happen often. Also, night terrors and avoiding food mostly occur.
Uniqua from South Dakota asked, can OCD be cured or treated?
It depends on the person. Some people can be completely cured even after treatment. Others can still have it, but it might not affect the person's life as much as it did.
Some people need medication to be cured.
Pablo from Texas asked, how can you get help for OCD?
Talking and opening up to someone helps you, or just getting treatment.
Austin from California asked, how does it affect the body or brain?
OCD affects the part of the brain called the basal ganglia.
OCD is a biological disorder and not so much of a mental problem.
Tasha from Utah asked, what are some interesting facts on OCD?
Most children with OCD don't realize their behavior is unusual. 2.3% of the population of the world are affected by OCD. In the US, 3.3 million people have OCD. Ages between 18 and 54 are the most common ages that have OCD.
Nothing can really cause OCD. Most people can't control it when they have it.
If you need help with your OCD,
you can go to support groups around the globe.
Thank you for having us, and here comes Taylor and Cecilia.
Back to you.
Thank you, Claire and Addie.
And welcome back to Sacred Heart Catholic News. Today with me I have Taylor Sanders, who is a known expert on panic disorder. So, Taylor, let's start with an easy question. What is panic disorder?
Well, thank you for that warm welcome. Panic disorder is a psychiatric disorder in which debilitating anxiety and fear arise frequently and without a reasonable cause.
Can panic disorder affect everyone?
Well, yes, it can affect everyone, but that's very unlikely. Only about 1.7% of the adult U.S. population, ages 18 to 54, approximately 2.4 million Americans, have panic disorder in a given year. Also, women are twice as likely to have panic disorder than men.
All right, on to the next question. What are the symptoms of panic disorder?
Some symptoms are sweating, pounding heart, shaking, fear of choking, chest pain, feeling dizzy, chills, extreme heat, numbness or tingling, feeling of unreality, and fear of going crazy.
Well, that is a lot of symptoms. Next question. What are panic attacks and what are they like?
Well, panic attacks are extremely unpleasant and can be very frightening. As a result, people can experience repeated panic attacks, often becoming very worried about having another panic attack, and may make changes to their lifestyles so they can avoid having a panic attack. For example, avoiding exercise so as to keep the heart rate low or avoiding certain places.
So, tell me what can trigger a panic attack.
Well, panic attacks can be triggered by anything and are unclear. An attack could even happen in your sleep.
Okay, almost done. What are the outlooks of panic disorder?
Well, there are two major outlooks. One is getting help from family, friends, or even a doctor. They might be able to give you medication or therapy to help. The other outlook is pushing others away and holding with, which is not very good.
Alright, that's all we have today. On to Carly and Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor and Cecilia. I'm Melissa Browning, here to talk to Dr. Carly Wright about today's news.
Thank you, Alyssa. Well, today we're going to talk about a serious matter called post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. And for you all who don't know what PTSD is, well, you came to the right place. PTSD is a mental health condition that's triggered by a terrifying event, either by experiencing it, witnessing it, or even learning about it.
Are there any symptoms that come with PTSD?
There are many symptoms to this disorder. It contains flashbacks, terrifying nightmares, uncontrollable thoughts about the event, emotional numbness, and avoidance of places, people, and activities. People even feel guilt or loneliness. They also have difficulty sleeping and concentrating. They feel jumpy and easily irritated and even angered.
What is the treatment?
Well, the thing is, it's a long-term disability. Treatment includes different types of trauma-focused physical therapy, as well as medications to manage symptoms. But if untreated, the effects of PTSD can have a mental impact on the person's life. Also, the person can develop other mental health disorders or medication problems.
Where does this affect the person?
It affects the brain area, impacted in the stress response included in the amygdala, hippocampus, prefrontal cortex, and anterior and cortex, which are included in the front and side of the brain.
How many people are affected to PTSD?
There are more than 3 million U.S. cases per year, and women are twice as likely as men to develop PTSD.
Do you get the symptoms right away, or does it take a while to develop?
Well, actually, symptoms can appear years after the trauma event. Diagnosis can be very tricky. It requires that a person experience PTSD symptoms for at least a month.
Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for coming. Next, Cannon, Isabel.
Thank you, Alyssa and Carly.
Alyssa and Carly. Social anxiety is the fear of social situations that involve interaction with people, like feelings of shyness and discomfort in certain situations aren't really like signs of social anxiety disorder, particularly in kids. Comfort levels in social situations vary.
In contrast to everyday nervousness, social anxiety disorder includes fear, anxiety, and avoidance that interfere with daily routine, work, school, or other activities. Social anxiety disorder typically begins in the early to mid-teens. Typically can start in younger children or in adults. Physical signs and symptoms are like blushing, fast heartbeat, trembling, sweating, upset stomach, or nausea. Troubles catching your breath, dizziness or lightheadedness, feeling that your mind has gone blank, muscle tension. It can last for years or a lifetime. To treat, you can go to therapies and also med and specialists.
It can affect women to feel that she will embarrass or make fun of herself, and also feel awkward. If used correctly, creates permanent changes in your brain and These changes can affect your brain chemistry. Everyone's bearing any brain disease can learn to overcome social anxiety.
And that concludes this story. Is Carly the best place in Fortnite? Salty Springs goers beg to differ. Find out after this. Coming up next, Colin and Cannon.
Thank you, Isabel and Cannon. I'm Colin, and this is Cannon. We're going to tell you about passive-aggressive disorder. First, I'm going to tell you what it is, then I'm going to tell you the symptoms, how you can help it, and what you could do for it. What is passive-aggressive disorder? It's when you express their negative feelings subtly through their actions instead of handling them directly. It was discovered when you rage and in 2008. The symptoms for passive-aggressive disorder: resentment, opposition to the demands of others, procrastinating, intentional mistakes, cynical, sullen, or hostile attitude. The outlook. Passive-aggressive personality is not something you're born with. It is not genetic. It is a result of a certain learning process that can be undone. How you can help it. First, you can recognize it, listen or observe, lose sarcasm, avoid temporary compliance, recognize your intentional inefficiency, don't let a problem escalate, recognize hidden but conscious revenge.
Here's how it affects the body and the brain. Sullen behavior can't remember or finish things that they had done previously. Here's some facts. Bitterness and hostility toward other people's requests. Intentionally delaying or making mistakes when dealing with other people's requests. Having a cynical, pessimistic, or aggressive demeanor. Frequently complaining about feeling underappreciated or deceived. And thank you.
Up next is Olivia and Gavin.
Stop it! Stop laying on the ground! Stop! Is this day ever gonna end? I have no energy.
Ho, ho, ho! Santa here from the North Pole. And it looks like to me, Mr. Rain, you need a pick-me-up. Diet Dew, just for you.
Diet Dew?
Oh, that sweet caffeinated nectar of Mountain Dew with 0 calories?
Man, this stuff is good. Thanks, Santa.
Thank you, Cannon and Colin. Today I'm with Dr. Olivia, and we are going to be asking her questions about schizophrenia. So, what is schizophrenia?
Good question. Schizophrenia is a disorder that affects a person's ability to think, feel, and behave clearly. It affects most people between the ages of 40 and 60 plus. The Greek word schizo means split, and phera means mind.
What are some symptoms, and how long does this disorder last?
Some symptoms are self-harm, aggression, hostility, delusion, memory loss, and anxiety, loss of interest, fatigue, and hallucination. It lasts either a few years or it can last a lifetime.
How does it affect the body and brain?
Schizophrenia is primarily a disease that affects the mind, but it can affect the body through anger and self-harm, and depression. Scientists believe that the physical difference is in the brain, meaning the brain works differently. It is not possible yet to use genetic information to predict if you will develop schizophrenia.
How can these people get help?
Sadly, this disorder cannot be cured, but there is medication, therapy, and support groups, and rehab that can help.
As we just learned, schizophrenia is a scary disorder, and if you see some symptoms, contact a doctor or hospital immediately. Thank you.
Alright, ready? Now I'm gonna read off this. Alright. Alright. Back on WSHS. You can cut, right?
We're live, pal.
We'll just cut. Yeah, we'll just do that. I don't know. I got lost. Where are you at?
Right there.
You could also use behavioral therapy. Just
Can I-
Hey, wait, isn't there supposed to be a green screen?
Gavin.
No, but we got the bear.
Stop.
You can just cut that out. So just keep going.
Let's go ahead and answer from the certain symptoms part.
Because if you get that narcissistic ideas, if you get those narcissistic ideas out of your head and express them onto someone else, then you can, like, you get the narcissism out of.
All right, we are recording.
Welcome back, everyone, to SHC News. Our fourth story is about bipolar disorder.
Wait a minute. Should we say thanks?
Yeah, because they pulled. They
up and say next up, and just keep doing it.
Yeah, because Matthew said. When Matthew was over there, he goes next up, Kalen and Hayden. So you got to be like, thanks, Matthew.
Thanks, Matthew. And then go on
Thanks,
your
Matthew. And then go on yours.
Who's the next group?
Then they'll get out here.
Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
Really fast about a lot of different things.
You can't come in and talk.
Sorry, they said to come up, and so I just.
Don't talk, though.
I was making sure everybody was up here, though. Oh, I'm still talking.
Shut up. Start over again.
The whole thing?
No, you can start from your line or one. Back up a little bit.
Look
Later
at
on.
Peace out.
We're practicing. I need to get my voice up and down and all around. And...
That's on. That's on.
Okay. Sorry. Bye, guys. Welcome back. Today we're talking about.
You gotta say thank you, Hayden.
Oh. Okay.
Start over.
Okay. Okay. Keep this moving. Was it Hayden or Kaylin?
Hayden.
Kaylin. Yeah. Okay. Wait,
Hayden.
Kaylin? It was Kaylin. Okay. Okay. Susie from Montana.
Just restart.
Okay.
Susie from Montana.
Okay. Uniqua. Keep a straight face. Okay. I'm trying to act.
Wait,
Bye, guys.
can I say welcome back to Sacred Heart Catholic News? Or
Yes, but you have to thank them for introducing you.
Thank me.
I started it. I don't know why everybody's copying me.
Can we start?
But the 6th and 7th grade didn't do that, so that's something to show all about it.
Can we start?
They're the ones who use the computer.
Yeah, we're recording. Go ahead.
Thank you, Claire and Active.
Claire who? Claire Abbott?
Thank
Wow,
you.
we have an outtake on the very beginning.
on to Carly and Melissa.
Thank you.
I need to die now, dude.
Alright.
You know.
Don't say that. There you go. I'm Melissa Brown, and here with Dr. Carly Wright to talk about today's news.
Thank you, Melissa.
Well,
You didn't think Taylor. You didn't think Taylor to say.
we're supposed to say thank you, Taylor, and
Like, you guys thanks for listening.
What is the disorder? Social
We're gonna
anxiety.
thank, Melissa and Carly. Just thank her for a lot of editing. Thank you, Cannon. Oh, wait, that's me.
Thank you, Dean.
What are you doing?
Undone.
Okay. I'm sitting here.
Yeah, you gotta thank them. You gotta be like, thanks, Cannon and Colin.
Do we have to thank them?
Yes, you have to.
Thanks.
Got
I'm
it.
gonna get myself together.
You're gonna thank Cannon and Colin because it's like 2 people in a row.
You're the whatever person, so you have to say. Yay!